Alright, boys and girls, so we are going to review the last 4 chapters that we did. I have made summaries of each chapter, so it should be easy to review because we've gone through these chapters very quickly because they are very short. So for today, I just want to review them and then we will begin a new chapter tomorrow. So, chapter 10, we discussed objects, and we learned about in this chapter what are different objects made of, what are the materials that we use to make objects. What are objects? Absolutely anything, like chairs, tables, pencil crayons, anything that we use or that is around in our house. Those are all objects. So the different types of materials that we use to make objects are wood, that comes from trees, okay, paper, for example, cardboard boxes, rubber. I don't know if you know what this is, but these are elastic bands, okay, so the rubber elastic bands, metal, okay, like gold, silver, iron, okay, those are all different types of metals. Here I've shown you a gold ring, and here is knives and forks for the silverware, okay. Ceramics is another type of material, and we use that for like clay bricks or ceramic pot plants. And then another one is glass. Here's my glass window. And plastic. Here's a plastic bottle. Right, the different types of objects: wood, paper, rubber, metal, ceramics, glass, and plastic. Okay, now objects have three different properties. All right, one, size. What is the size of it? What is the shape of it? And what is the color? All right, so different sizes. You can have a big or a small object. Shapes. You can have a circular object or a square object. And you can have different color objects. So you can have one object that is one color, or you can have colorful objects. And here there's one more. Sorry, I didn't see this one. The yellow one slipped past. So the fourth property is mass. They all have different masses. Look, one object is heavier than another object. So the 4 types of properties are size, shape, color, and mass. All right, chapter 11. So now this is the second chapter that we covered, and this chapter is called Physical Changes in Materials. So we are going to find out, or we did find out, what causes physical changes. Physical changes meaning changes that we can see, okay? So first of all, how do we change materials? I've drawn pictures, and hopefully it will help you remember the 7 ways that we can change, cause physical change in materials. So the first one is we can press. If we press some materials, they change their shape. All right? What about twist? I've shown you here, hope you can understand, is if we twist an object. Hammer, shown you a picture. If we hammer objects, the material changes. Okay, like a glass. If we hammer a glass, it's broken. Bend. Okay, if we bend something, if we pull something, if we pull, we're pulling in 2 opposite directions. So if we pull, can change the material like an elastic band. Heat, if we make something hot, it expands. All right, showing you fire there for heat, to remember if we heat something, we can change the material. pleasant, cool. That was my attempt at a snowflake. I know you guys can do better. So if we make something really cold, we know that it gets smaller, it contracts. Contract means make shorter. All right, so how do we change material? We can press, we can twist, we can hammer, we can bend, we can pull, we can heat and cool. All right, that's how we change materials. Some changes are permanent and temporary. Permanent being forever. If we break a glass, this is a window, by the way. This is a cracked window. If we break a glass, it is permanent. We cannot make it whole again. We can't put the pieces back together. Temporary is this is a ball. This is a ball without any pressure. This is a ball that has been flattened. Okay? When we stop flattening that ball, it will go back to normal. So that change is temporary. So that's a permanent change in material, temporary change in material. Some physical changes are useful, like changing a plastic bag so that it can change the shape of the objects that you're carrying, or changes like the elastic band. If you want to wrap it around something, the change that rubber band can make is useful. And then harmful, these are bricks. For bricks that push out of place, they get too hot, they push out of place, and it could be harmful or dangerous to those who are walking. And that is chapter 11 done. How do we cause change and the types of change? So there are some permanent, temporary, useful, and harmful. Okay, so chapter 12, one of the easiest chapters we've done in this last week, is the 3 states of matter. Okay, what is matter? Matter is absolutely everything around us. If it takes up space and it has a mass, it is matter. All right, so there we go. The properties, the characteristics, the special things about matter is that it takes up space and it has mass. All right, let's look at the 3 states of matter. So what are the different ways that we can find matter? We can find matter as a solid, for example, a wooden chair, a ball, a living flower. Those are all solid masses, solid matter. Then we get liquid. All right, matter can be liquid, water, milk, okay, any liquid. And the last state of matter is gas. Now these balloons would be solids, but it is what is inside these balloons that is matter, and that is air, which is gas. Okay, so solid, liquid, gas, 3 states of matter. How do we know if something is matter? It takes up space. Like the air that fills a balloon takes up space, it makes the balloon bigger, and it needs to have mass. Chapter 13, air. We learned 3 different things about air. Number 1, where can we find it? Number 2, how is it important and useful? Number 3, we learned that air moves and what causes air to move. Let's read through. Where can we find air? We can find air everywhere. It is all around us. We cannot physically see air itself, but we can see that air moves things. If there is a piece of cloth flying in the sky, we can see the cloth moving because of the air that's moving it. We can feel air move. When there is wind and it blows against our skin, we can feel it. And we can see that air fills up balloons. It takes up space. So that's where we can find it, okay? How is it important and useful? Well, it keeps fish alive underneath the water. Fish get oxygen from the water. It also keeps humans alive by allowing us to breathe. The trees need it to make food. It helps things to float. Air helps things to float. And air allows fire to keep burning. And lastly, air fills things up, like our motorbike tires. When it is hard, it allows it to roll better. And lastly, okay, air moves. What is it called when air moves? It's called wind. Okay, and what causes wind? When the hot air rises, the cold air takes its place. And as the hot air rises, the cold air takes its place. That's what causes wind. Very, very easy. Wind can move things from one place to another. So the three things we learned about air: where can we find it? Why is it useful? And what is it called when air moves? It's called wind. And the last chapter that we covered was all about water, chapter 14. We learned what are the uses of water, where do we get water from, and how do we conserve water, and what does conserve mean? All right, so let's begin. The uses of water. Why do we use water? Where do we use water? Well, first of all, we use water to keep plants alive. All right, we also use water to keep ourselves alive. We need to drink water. Water is used for businesses and for people at work. So for those people who work on farms, you need to water their crops. And a fire station needs to use water to put out fires. We also use water just for fun, and that is an example here of a swimming pool. Okay, next one, sources of water. So where do we get water from? So we get water from our taps. That's where we get water from. But some people get water from wells, lakes, rivers, and water pump. Okay, where you pump, and as you pump, the water trickles out over there, comes out slowly. That's what trickles mean. And the next one, conserving water. What does it mean to conserve water? It means we must save water, use it wisely. So we must conserve water so it lasts a long time. If we abuse water and we use too much water and we waste it, we will run out of water. How can we conserve water? By reducing the amount of water that we use, by reusing the water that we use, and by recycling the water that we use. Awesome. That is all of our chapters summed up that we did last week. I hope it's very easy, and wait for my instruction to tell you what is for homework. Good luck!